Hey everybody, welcome to our Wednesday class for week one. Like I said earlier, we will probably have most of our Wednesday classes pre-recorded so you can watch it anytime throughout the day. And we'll start that off with this first week. So today, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about a couple things. One is just kind of assignments and making sure that you get everything in. I know we kind of beat that dead horse quite a bit on Monday, but I do think it's important that you continue to watch um, the due dates in iLearn to make sure that you're keeping up with those and so that nothing sneaks up on you. One that could potentially sneak up on you, but won't now because we're going to talk about it, is that you are going to create me in 30-second presentations for next week. And so I thought I'll take care of this now, and you can have the weekend to prep for that and have that ready to go next week. The me in 30-second statements are they're very powerful tools that you will be able to use to hopefully get jobs and prepare for interviews down the road. The other name for this are elevator pitches. Sometimes you've probably heard that. The idea is you get into an elevator with, I almost said Steve Jobs, that would be creepy. You get into an elevator with Elon Musk, somebody that you really want to work for down the road, let's say. And you only have about 30 seconds until he gets off the elevator, and you need to leave a lasting impression so that you can get a job with this person. That's the key here. Now, most of the time, you're not going to get in an elevator with Elon Musk or any other, very widely known person. But when you are in an interview, you have a very short window to make an impression with somebody, extremely short. Many studies say that it's seconds only. And when the interviewer or somebody else that you meet asks you a question, if you're not prepared to be concise, you're going to have a very difficult time getting out all of your thoughts in a concise way that makes sense and leaves a lasting and good impression on the person that you're speaking with. The kind of the joke here and an example that I've used fairly often is that of when I met my wife. We were both undergraduate students. We were in a religion class together. And I was prepping. I had seen her the first week of class and decided this was somebody that I wanted to talk to. And it's so dumb that I'm admitting this and putting it on YouTube. But the second week, I went to class early, kind of got everything in the seat. And then I went outside into the halls, and my plan was to kind of like run around the building a time or two and just kind of pump myself up. Like I was playing like the Rocky theme music in my head. And yeah, and I was thinking about things that I was going to say. Well, as I was doing this, I rounded this one corner, and there she was kind of sitting, prepping for class. And I kind of almost like stumbled into her, and it frightened me. And at that time I saw her, and she looked up at me, and I wanted to say something beautiful and memorable and lasting. And because of the shocking way that I kind of found her, all of that flew out of my mind. I had no idea what to say. I just looked down, and she had one of those Nalgene bottles, and I was like, hey, that's a big water bottle. And she, whatever, you know what? It worked. She married me. But would I have liked, especially at the moment, would I have liked to have gone back in time and maybe refined that statement a little bit? You bet. So that's the idea behind this. The more that you practice elevator pitches, me in 30-second statements, and tailor them to different situations, the more prepared you're going to be when you get asked that question, or unlikely, but end up in an elevator with somebody that you'd like to work for. So with that in mind, many students don't know where to begin when we start talking about these me in 30-second statements. So I've got a little document that I'm going to share with you in a second. This is something that I picked up when I worked for the church. I was an intern with the employment department. LDS Employment Services is what it was called, and got to work with some of the greatest people that I've ever met. And they taught me a lot of these things that I'm going to share with you today. So let me go ahead and pull up this shield. And all right, it's coming. Here we go. All right, so this is a common exercise that we use in the church employment services employment workshop. And it's a way for you to kind of get ideas and gears turning in your head so that you can come up with a great me in 30-second statement. And we're going to use this shield and we're going to fill it out together today. You don't have this, so just get a blank white piece of paper and draw a shield in it with 6 different squares. And that's all you're going to need to do. Okay. But do this. Go and pause this video and get it done. No, seriously, like pause it and go get a piece of paper. All right. Okay, now that you got that and we're all back together, I'm going to zoom in here on this first quadrant. And the instructions here are to write 5 positive words that describe you. Okay, now some of you are like, you're even alone right now and you're kind of freaking out because you're like, that's not humble, or I don't know 5 good things about me. All right, here's the benefit of being in quarantine. About half of you are with your parents. So I want you to go talk to your mom and say, Mom, I need 5 positive words that describe me. Moms are great at knocking these things out of the park. And if you're not near your mother and you can't call her on the phone or something, then I want you to call her, or I want you to think in your head, what would Mom say about me? All right, so that's one way you can kind of think about that. All right, so again, sometimes I have trouble coming up with things about myself, so I'm going to think about what my mom would say. She would say that I'm fun, say that I'm dedicated. Sorry, I thought I had my Apple Pen and I totally forgot it, so I'm doing this with my fat finger. All right, so I'm fun, I'm dedicated, definitely loyal, smart, sometimes, and 5, let's see, smart, dedicated, empathetic. All right, go ahead and pause this until you have that first quadrant filled out with 5 positive words about you. All right, go ahead. All right, now we're going to jump into the second one. This one, like it says, briefly describe your family. You can describe your family, or if you're an incredible artist like me, you can draw your family. All right, so I'm doing this. I get worse as I go along here. My goodness, we have so many kids. Yeah, that's right. Like, you don't know how many kids you have until you have to draw them out as stick figures. All right, so that's my family. You can describe them, whatever you want to do in that quadrant. Okay, number 3, list or draw 3 of your hobbies or interests. All right, again, I'm going to do this along with you. I'm thinking of things that I like to do, so let's do this. Yeah. Made it look like that was an ice skate or something. And choose. Okay, so here's my lame little drawings of what I like to do. This is my surfboard. I like running, and I'm trying to get into photography and some video stuff. Why? I don't know. I'm bored in the quarantine or something. All right, so just come up with a couple things that you like to do. What are your hobbies? What are you interested in doing? All right, next one. All right, we've got list or draw 3 of your previous jobs or self-employment projects. All right, kind of easy for me. That's 3. I'm a teacher, I'm an attorney, and here's one you're going to learn about me today. I fix vacuums. So this is what I did to get through my undergrad. Is I worked at a vacuum store in Orem, and yeah, kind of cool. I can fix anybody's vacuum. So um, those are my three of my jobs. Okay, list or draw 3 accomplishments. Oh, this is when it gets kind of tough, huh? 3 accomplishments, and then this last one, number 6, is draw your educational achievements. I'm going to start with educational achievements because I think that's relatively simple. Here, I got on Dean's List a couple times in school. How do I do this? That's a book. I published an article in a magazine once. That was kind of cool. Oops. Move it here. Other educational achievements. I got on scholarship. Oh, you know what I did do? This was kind of cool. They had something, it was called the Cali Awards. They later changed it to the Amger Awards, but Cali Award, it's something that they do in law school. If you get the highest grade in any given class, then you get what's called the Cali Award, and that's what I got because I got the highest grade in water law and wills and trusts. So now you know. Okay, so that's my other stuff. Let's talk about 3 accomplishments, just other accomplishments in general. I'm trying to think here. Oh, there's one. I get pretty high. This sounds like I'm bragging because you're my students, but my students like me. I tend to get pretty high let's call it student evaluations. And I got some award because I placed kind of high in that. And let's see, other achievements. Oh, how do I say this? I'm a member of 2 bar associations. So I'm a member of the Florida Bar and the Idaho Bar. I think that's kind of cool. I know some people are like, they're an attorney in like 10 states or something. Whatever, I got 2, I'm fine with that. I think that's an accomplishment, passing the bar exam. Student evaluation, other accomplishments. Oh, I've done 2 marathons. There you go, marathons. Yeah, I ran some marathons, the Salt Lake Marathon when I was in undergrad. I did that twice. Didn't even train for it. I was dumb, but I finished under 4 hours, so it wasn't like terrible times. I just hurt so bad. All right, so now if we zoom out here, you can see that I've got my completed shield, whatever you want to call this, and this is kind of our starting point, and you should all have yours filled out right now too. What I want you to do is start to practice saying these things out loud, okay? And this is where some people get into trouble. Well, not into trouble, but they start having some difficulty because this almost feels wrong to them. Like I can't be bragging about all of these things that I've done and whatever. Throw all of that out the window. It's easier for you. Nor like last semester, I got all of the students, all like 80 of them, and they all had to take their shield, like, you know, this, what you can see on my screen, And I made them go stand against the wall, and they had to say this out loud. Um, Quite funny, and lots of them were kind of freaking out at first. But then the more you do it, kind of get used to this and get used to talking about yourself. And then I'd make them pair up with somebody else in the class. They would share it with somebody else. Now, right now, I just want you to say it out loud. So let me show you how to do this. So if I'm reading this, I'm going to say something like, hi, I'm going to write this. Hi, I'm Michael. I'm fun, dedicated, loyal, smart, and empathetic. And the first time you say that, you're like, really? No, you are. Your mom believes it's true. So yeah, I'm fun, dedicated, loyal, smart, and empathetic. I have a family of 7. It's me and my wife, my daughter, only girl, and then 4 boys in a row. I like surfing, running, and I'm getting into photography and videography. I've worked as a teacher, as an attorney, and as a vacuum repair person. I've achieved a couple things in my life. I've received awards for my student evaluations. I am admitted in 2 different bar associations in Florida and Idaho, and I've run a couple marathons. In school, I was on the dean's list a couple times. I published an article, and I received the Cali Award for the best grade in my wills and trusts and water law classes. And that's it. That's it. That's all you have to do. You should be able to do that in about 60 seconds or less. And I think that's about what I did. So go ahead and start practicing. You can pause this, practice it, start getting used to saying these things out loud. And when you come back, we'll pick this up. All right, now that we're back, I want to clarify something. This shield and what you've drawn or written on, this is not your me in 30 seconds. All right, this is just a way to get the gears turning and let you start to think like you're going to need to think in order to create an effective me in 30 seconds. So let me pop this out, and let's pull up a plain piece of paper right now. Okay, so here on my whiteboard, now I'm going to start to show you how I create my own me in 30 seconds. All right, and it's for those of you that are like into math, you're going to really like this. I'm going to make it so easy for you. All right, so there's a formula. You always start off with your name. So, hi, my name is fill in the blank. All right, that's one. You never like just start talking. Like say who you are. Say your name. Hi, I'm Brother Hales. All right, now here's more math for you. We're going to add to this. I'm a very, it says person. So I'm a very loyal person. All right, and here, this is where you are going to go back to your shield, and you're going to pick something out of this that, like one of these words that you think would be helpful for the job that you're trying to apply for. If I'm going to work for Elon Musk, he probably cares about loyalty. He probably mostly cares about my ingenuity, my work ethic. So I'm gonna throw that in if I'm talking to Elon Musk. Let's say I'm gonna go work for another university. All right, I'm gonna go work for Harvard. I can't get him off my case. So let's say I finally relent and I go teach law at Harvard. Well, there, I think, let me see, what's one of the better words here? I think dedicated would work there. So here I'm going to put in dedicated. And again, I'm writing with my finger with a Band-Aid on it, okay? So ignore my terrible handwriting. It's a Band-Aid. All right. So here's where you're going to put in one of those attributes about yourself. I'm a very dedicated person. Many would describe me as dedicated. There's like a million different ways you can say this, but for our purposes, I'm just going to put it like this. I'm a very dedicated person. All right, that's good. But anybody can say that, right? Like anybody can say they're dedicated. How do we prove it? Well, now this is the important part of the Me in 30 Seconds, it's time to prove what you're talking about. So let's do another plus here. All right, time to prove it. For example, and now I'm going to give an experience, something that I've done, an accomplishment in my life that proves that I'm a dedicated person. Because let's be honest, like you dated that one person once that said that they were kind and then they weren't, right? So again, anybody, words are cheap. Let's prove it. Let's talk about an example. So with mine, again, Harvard is begging me to come teach. And so I'm going to say, look, well, if they're begging, I might not even have to do this, but you get my point. I might say something like, well, I'm a dedicated person. For example, and here I don't really have time or room to write it out with my fat finger, but I would say something like, for example, during my first year of teaching at BYU Idaho, I was rated as my student evaluations placed me in the top. It was like the top 2% of all teachers at BYU Idaho. And all right, so that's kind of cool, right? Like I'm rated very highly. And that right there, that's so much better than what 99% of people, well, maybe 90% of people do in interviews, and the interviewer asks, like, tell me a little bit about yourself. And they say, oh, well, I'm very dedicated. I love my job. I'm very empathetic. And they just kind of spout off everything from this quadrant right there. But that's not good enough. Anybody could say those words, right? So that's why now you're starting to see the genius of this shield, because it got you thinking about some of the things that you've done, your accomplishments and awards and all of that, and past work experience. That's why I did this shield. That's why I think it's so valuable. So again, like I picked this one right here, the student evaluation thing, but I could have gone with some of these other things, Cali Awards, Dean's List, but since Harvard wants me to teach there, I'll stick with an experience, something that I've done that fits into what they would like me to do at Harvard. All right, so we're clear so far? All right, so that's my example. And if you get that far, like I said, you're better than 90% of all other applicants, because now you're telling a story, you're giving an example of how dedicated you truly are. Right. And when I talk about my student evaluations, I'm not just going to say I'm dedicated because students like me. I'm going to talk about how I got those student evaluations. And this is what's going to put you in the top like 1% of people. You need to talk about the results. Right. So in my example, I'm going to talk about my student evaluations and the dedication that I put into getting those high student evaluations. But who cares? Like I could get high student evaluations just by giving everybody A's and like bribing them or something horrible like that. And that's not good. So I need to talk about the results. As a result, my students scored in the top 5% of the National Business Law exam administered to all undergraduate business law students. All right. Top 5%. Now, let me erase this. Okay, so that's great. Now they know that I can get results and that I'm a good teacher and that I don't buy my student evaluations through bribery. I earn it and my students do well on exams. I could go further. 18% of my undergraduates get into top law schools. I can pull all of these numbers out and show that I can get results. And why? The whole purpose of this is to differentiate me from the other person that's going to come in and apply right behind me or interview right after me. And she's going to say, I love teaching and I got high results. Right? But she didn't tell a story like I did. And so that's what I want you focusing on right now. This right here, what you see on the screen, let's do this. There it is. That's your formula for success in a me in 30 seconds. Now, you're going to have to refine this because the first time you do it, it's going to be horrible. You're going to say, you know, my name is Jonathan. I am a very, what was it again? Strong person. Dang it, that wasn't it. For example, I helped my high school debate team win a championship, and as a result, we all went to Washington, D.C. It's going to just sound lame and choppy and much like my lectures, right? So you need to like go over these things multiple times. Once you have it written out, you're going to go to the mirror and you're going to say it in your mirror 10 times to yourself. Then when you're a little bit more brave, then you step outside and you go give it to your roommate or your parent or a friend and practice with them. And at the end of the day, when you're all done with all of this, well, then you're going to record yourself and upload it into iLearn so that you can get points for this assignment. But this right here, I really feel like this is a great way to start this process and to start this class is through a me in 30 seconds preview and dry run. Again, it's not going to be wonderful. That's okay. Nobody was great their first time coming up with their me in 30 second or elevator pitch. It takes a lot of time and a lot of practice so that eventually when you round that corner and you see the girl of your dreams that you almost stepped on, you're not going to talk about water bottles. You're going to say something beautiful like, why hello. Like I can't even do it because I'm not that smooth anymore. I'm like this old guy in my 30s teaching college, but you know what I mean? Like think about how smooth it's going to be once you've practiced it and you've narrowed it down, tailored it to what the person wants to hear. You're going to knock it out of the park, right? So go ahead and start working on those. You're not going to submit these until next week, but I think it's important that you get them written out and start practicing now because, like I said, you're going to record yourself on your phone or whatever and upload it to YouTube. Share that with the class, and we're gonna peer review each other's elevator pitches. So that's coming next week. Have a great weekend, everybody. Once you've completed this first week, you're done. You've made it through the first week of spring semester. So we'll pick up on Monday during our regular class period using the same Zoom link. So I will see you all on Monday.